These are the 3 best attack strategies you need to use at Town Hall 9 here in Clash of Clans in 2023. Welcome back to Blueprint, my name's Corrupt. Let's start with the Queen Charge Lalo. This strategy works on a wide variety of different bases. You're typically looking for the enemy Archer Queen and the Clan Castle. However, of course, be very careful of how air defenses are placed. Usually, sometimes defenders will have a no-fly zone, which basically means that there is an area of the base where you cannot use any Lalo because there are 2 air defenses that are going to pop your Lava Hounds fast. So keep that in mind when you're using this strategy. But otherwise, you want to mainly start off with this Queen Charge by funneling. Using a baby dragon and a couple minions like I did here creates a nice solid funnel. When you're sending wall breakers in, use a test wall breaker to look for any small bombs and then send the rest of them in. Usually only 2 are going to be needed in order to open the wall. That way you can take on the enemy queen like I did here, usually using a rage spell to make sure the queen goes down. Now in this case, the Clan Castle is a Lava Hound CC. This means that it's not really going to be something that is overly something to worry about, especially in this area here. But you do want to make sure that you're still dealing with a Clan Castle. For me, I don't use a Barbarian King to funnel the Archer Queen on the side where I sent in minions, so I decided to use him on the other side in order to not only get percentage, but also to make sure that the Queen does not lock onto those buildings and start going onto the outside. I want her to stay inside for as long as possible. Usually using a couple minions if you're dealing with a Lava Hound CC is going to protect your healers, so that's why you want to use a couple of your minions for that. Once the queen kind of clears through that, I use a rage spell in order to push her through, and then you start the Lalo. Usually, in this case, you'll want to start with the CC Lalo or the CC Hound, and then a couple groups of balloons, usually 2 to 3 groups. Same thing with the next Lava Hound, and that should allow you to start using your spells. The haste spell is really good at getting your balloons to those key buildings, which is typically expos, wizard towers, and air defenses. That's what's going to help, and this is why you also bring free spells. The free spells are really good with the Archer Queen, but also fantastic at making sure that the Lava Hounds are able to tank just enough, and the free spells are enough in order to make sure that the balloons get to those defenses. The haste spells are just there in order to make sure your balloons get to those key buildings, especially splash buildings, and anything that's going to hit them really hard, especially stuff like a Tesla farm or even over to things like air defenses. Otherwise, cleanup is your biggest thing. Make sure that you've got minions and lava pups, and you should be a-okay. Just be very careful of the Barbarian King, because usually he can stall for time for the defenders, which usually can make or break the attack. Otherwise, this is a really simple strategy that will get you 3 stars more often than not, since the Queen Charge Lalo is a really strong strategy. Now, our second army is a simple attack strategy, the Zap Dragons. This particular base is great for it. This is the no-fly zone that I mentioned in the first army. However, Zap Dragons is incredibly strong against these, and really, it's strong against any type of base. What I do here is I use 1 Earthquake with 3 lightning spells to remove the 2 air defenses. I then focus in on the Air Sweeper and 1 air defense that are close together with 3 lightning and 1 Earthquake. Still getting some damage on the other air defense with the maxed Earthquake. This allows me to create the funnel. This is incredibly important. Dragons with funneling is going to be a must, even when you don't have any more air defenses really to worry about. That's incredibly important. So in this case, I still wanted to get the star from the town hall, but also create the funnel and not lure out the Clan Castle. That way, it allows me to push the dragons in. They can deal with the enemy CC, whatever it is, and it also makes sure that it allows me to more easily stomp through the base and not worry about an air sweeper. This is where you would use the rage spell. This is really good at the early points, especially if you're dealing with an enemy Archer Queen, and then you can just really go ham on the rest of the base. The Lava Hound might still be tanking for your entire attack. Sometimes you might have everything pan out, but it's completely fine, mostly because the dragons just have a lot of HP. And with no air defenses still up, it basically makes them an incredibly easy option. Of course, there is an easier attack than this, But more often than not, the Zap Dragons is actually a much better strategy just of how easy and simple it is, since it is also a strategy that works really well as you go further and further up the Town Hall levels, which makes this one a very good option for you to use. And of course, we've got the Witch Slap Attack. This is an incredibly strong strategy. Personally, it works well on a lot of bases, but I find it to work perfect against ring bases. Witches really do well when they can more easily move through the base. And what's not better than everything just in one compartment? So you'll want to make sure that what you're doing is using a couple wall breakers, usually 2 wall breakers on each side, in order to break open in this case. You won't need this if it's a more of an anti-3 type base. You'll use 4 witches on each side with 2 healers. This leaves you with a golem, 2 more wall breakers alongside 2 witches, your heroes, and your CC bowlers to work in. On this type of base, it's usually really easy because the witches can just create a really solid funnel that allows everything to drive into the core. Typically, this is where the expos and the town hall will be in an anti-2. For an anti-3, it's going to be a little bit different. It really doesn't matter where you hit as long as you're able to get a lot of good jump value and allow your witches to stay alive. This is just going to make sure that what you're able to do is just drive through. You're able to deal with an enemy clan castle with no problem, and the raged up bowlers just do an incredible job. Otherwise, you really can just let your witches and your skeletons do everything. In this case, we had the king on one side with the golem on the other, and it just allowed for so much tankage as they move through. Still having the archer queen and her ability up really helps with the push as well, and it just makes the witches an extremely easy option. I use them for farming and they just smash every single base. So as long as you're able to deal with the enemy clan castle, most of the time witches are a really easy 3-star, but just keep in mind that witches aren't going to always work, especially at higher town hall levels that we'll be covering here in this series here on Blueprint. Now those are your 3 attack strategies that I would recommend. Personally, they're really strong and the Town Hall 9 meta really hasn't changed, and personally those are my favorite armies at Town Hall 9. Otherwise, make sure guys to subscribe here to Blueprint so you don't miss the rest of my series and all the other videos that Blueprint has to offer. And if you would like to improve as an attacker in order for you to improve and master your favorite armies.